I'm Jane Applegath. This is the Epic Vision Zone. What if a modest mom could walk into a boudoir studio and walked out a goddess? And what if one bold photograph went viral, landed on Good Morning America, and sparked a national conversation about body image and self-love? It is said that when we shed our clothes, we often uncover something deeper, our truth, our courage, our unapologetic self. Today's guest is turning the lens on confidence, self love, and radical power of redefining beauty. Liz Hansen is an acclaimed photographer, a TEDx speaker, and founder of the Chicago Boudoir Photography Studio. She began her journey photographing families, but everything changed when she discovered boudoir. One of her photos went viral and landed on Good Morning America, launching her into the national spotlight. Liz isn't just taking pictures, she says, she's reclaiming nudity. In her TEDx talk, Nudity Doesn't Have to Be Naughty, she poses a powerful question. What if shedding our clothes could help us shed shame, fear, and self-judgment too? She believes that positive nudity is a gateway not to exposure, but to expansion, a way for women to break free from toxic beauty standards and rediscover the fierce, fearless confidence that's already inside them. You could even say that posing in lingerie really can be more therapeutic than a green smoothie and 3 therapy sessions. Through her lens, Liz helps women feel seen, celebrated, and sensational. Her mission to empower every woman to feel like a supermodel, not just in the photograph, but in real life. Liz is challenging the norms, celebrating the human body, and leaving clients inspired to embrace their full self. No filters required. Welcome, Liz. Thank you for joining us here today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, I am excited to delve into this topic because it really does, I think, make a transition for women when they get into or get out of, let's say, their clothes and into their real person, their skin, etc. So, give us an idea of what inspired you to become a boudoir photographer and open up a studio.
So, if you've never heard of boudoir, it's a fancy French word that means a woman's bedroom. But for me, it means creating a space where women can come and create sensual photos of themselves and feel confident and empowered in their own skin. And I got started, so about 10 years ago, I did one of these photo shoots for myself. And I had never done anything like this before. But when I stepped into the studio, I was so nervous. I was shaking in my boots, literally. I remember trying to put the lingerie together. My hands were shaking so much I couldn't snap the bra together. But I walked out of there with legitimately a newfound sense of confidence and a desire to show up in bigger and better ways in my life. And so in 2018, I decided to open up a boudoir boutique where I could offer this experience to women because I know how it can change lives.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And it's funny that you say that you were so nervous because I'm sure you experience that with a lot of your clients. And isn't that odd? I mean, I think it's more so in the North American culture. In other cultures, they're probably not as uptight about nudity. But you said that nudity doesn't have to be naughty. I love that expression, by the way. And that boudoir is a catalyst for confidence, self love, and empowerment. So tell us a little bit about that.
So for sure, people are nervous to do something like that. I think as women, like you said, especially here in North America, we've inherited the idea for many of us that the body is wrong or that it is shameful or that there is something dirty about showing our bodies, right? I mean, maybe that's not the case for everyone, but I know it was for me. I really felt like there was something sort of taboo about embracing my body or my sensuality. And so when women are given a space where they can open up and experience that, there can be something really liberating about that. when women come to my studio, I allow them to feel something that I think is so fundamental to being human, which is our own naked bodies, right? And there's nothing inherently wrong with the body, but our society sometimes sends messages about our bodies, especially about the female body, that convince women that there is something wrong with our bodies.
Right. And it's interesting because you said sometimes send messages. I would say always sending messages, even to this day. I have a young niece, and she's just beautiful, blessed with gorgeous looks and a really cute little body. But it's interesting because they're always posting pictures of themselves posing, as if they're the model on the magazine, and that's great. But if you're not in that category, those are things that their other friends are receiving, or that others are looking at and saying, well, I'm not like that. There's messages not only coming from corporations such as the celebrity and magazines, etc., but nowadays with the internet and social media, it's coming from their peers. So it really is something that is, I agree, that needs to shift in our mindset, because obviously we all know that the beauty comes from within, but that's easier said than done, especially with all the peer pressure today. But the invitation then is, what do you say to a woman who believes that they're not photogenic, or that feels their bodies aren't worthy of being celebrated? Give us an idea of how you make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said that there is this really narrow beauty standard, right? It's young, it's thin, and people who fall outside of that often feel like there's something wrong with them, or that they don't deserve to be in front of the camera. They don't deserve to be documented. My goal as a boudoir photographer is really to shatter that and to say, you are worthy and beautiful just as you are right now. You are worth being photographed. You're worth being documented. So often, as women in our society, we spend a lot of our time focusing on others. If you're a mother, if you are in a job, we have been socialized to believe that our role is to serve others, and that we as ourselves, we just have to give, 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 right? But there is a time and a place when I think women can stand up and claim their own power and say, I am worthy. I deserve this. I deserve some time. I deserve some self-care. I deserve to be photographed. Most women, they're always taking pictures of other people, right? Taking pictures of their kids, taking pictures of things they're doing. How often are you in the photos? How often are you centering yourself, your life, your body, your pleasure? It can be rare. So what I'm saying with my studio, my mission is to say, you as a woman, you deserve to feel fabulous. You deserve to be a queen for the day. You deserve to be photographed right now, just as you are. One of the things that I do at my studio to help people feel comfortable, of course, I'm there with my 100% female staff. I'm there with you every step of the way, helping you pose, using lighting. One of the things that I do at my studio that I really, really love is that right after we take the pictures, I show you a slideshow of your pictures right then and there. So while you're at the studio, same day, you get to see a slideshow. And guess what? No filters, no Photoshop. Here's why. I want you to look at those pictures and see how beautiful you are just as you are right here, right now. You don't need a filter. You don't need Photoshop. Now, listen, if you want me to remove your acne or something, I'll do it afterwards. But I want you to see the pictures and see how beautiful you are on that screen right here, right now. And that moment, that's my favorite moment of the experience, when people get to see those pictures. I often hear women say, I can't believe that's me. That is a woman I wouldn't have recognized on the street. Is that really me? And it is you. It's just a side of you that you maybe haven't seen for a while or embraced in a while.
Right. Yes. Well, that's a perfect segue into our next question, Liz, which was, you have unexpected reactions from the transformation that you witnessed. So can you walk us through someone who gave you a reaction that when they saw themselves through your lens for the first time? What has been one of the most memorable reactions, or maybe a couple of them?
So when women come to my studio, there's sometimes happy reasons that they're there. They're getting married, they're having a baby, they're celebrating their 30th birthday. And then sometimes there's kind of heavier reasons that they're in the studio. I've had women come in after a breast cancer diagnosis, after a heart surgery, maybe after a divorce or leaving a domestic violence situation. So there can be a wide range of reactions to seeing these pictures, as wide of the experiences why they're there. I remember so distinctly, a woman named Sarah came into my studio. She had had a sudden massive heart attack. She was young, she was in her 40s and in good health. She was rushed to the hospital and actually died and was revived and brought back to life. But in the course of this experience, she had been cut open a couple of times for surgeries and had scars up and down her chest. And she decided to come into my studio on the 1 year anniversary of her heart attack because she wanted to celebrate her body and everything that had given to her and just rejoice in being alive. And she didn't want to Photoshop out her scars. She wanted to celebrate those scars and remember them. And I so distinctly remember we put her pictures up on the screen. Her scars are in full glory. We've done some cool things. You know, I'd put some gold chains over her chest, sprayed some water droplets to give some cool effects. And she just sat there and she said, I am so grateful to be alive. I love my body, scars and all. And that's what I want every woman to feel. You don't have to have a heart attack to get to that place. You can feel grateful for your body and being alive and for what it does for you and to appreciate this moment for what it is. And that's what I'm hoping to capture with every woman that comes into the studio.
So powerful. Yes. And it's the experience as well. Like, we can always go out and get a picture taken or go out and have celebrate ourselves with a nice meal or whatever, but this is something completely different. It's a raw transformation because it brings you home almost to who you really are. And the fact that she had that surgery and wanted to celebrate, wow, that is really, she really knew herself, because I know a lot of women would go the opposite way. They'd want to hide it completely and not face that, they had actually come through this and survived. Well, thank you for that incredible story. Well, what is it then the biggest myth about boudoir photography? Because that story that you just told us is so powerful. And how do we debunk it?
The biggest myth that I hear is I have to lose weight before I do a photo shoot. I've heard this 1,000 times. I would love to do that. Maybe if I lose 10 pounds. Why is it always 10 pounds? I don't know. But people say, oh, I'll do that if I lose 10 pounds. Listen, sexy is not a size. You can be sexy at any size, any shape. I have women in the studio all the time of all sizes and shapes. And guess what? People who are at their quote unquote ideal weight are not sexier than those who are not at their quote unquote ideal weight. Sexy is an attitude. Sexy is what we're going to bring out of you. Sexy is some confidence. There is no size limit on being fabulous. You are fabulous just now, just as you are. You want to lose some weight and do a photo shoot after you lose weight? Fine. But let's do the photos now. You are beautiful and gorgeous now.
I love that. Sexy is not a size. That is so great. Absolutely. Well, then walk us through a typical boudoir session and what it looks like and how you can create that safe, empowering space for clients, because I know that there's many here that would love to hear that.
So a boudoir session is first and foremost all about you. So I only take one client per day. I reserve the whole studio and the staff just for you. So you're going to be the queen for the day at our studio. You're going to come with no makeup on and your hair just clean and dry. And we are going to take care of you from start to finish. First off, you'll get your hair and makeup professionally done with our beauty team. That includes airbrush makeup, lashes, everything to get you ready for the camera. So you don't have to worry about that. And then next, what we're going to do is what I call our wardrobe consult. So we'll get out any outfits that you've brought, and then you can accessorize with things we have at the studio as well. Robes, shoes, jewelry. I even have 6-foot tall angel wings made out of ostrich feathers. We'll put together a wardrobe look for you that you love and reflects you and your personality. And that's unique for every person who comes in. After we decide which outfits we're going to photograph you in, you're going to come into our studio area, which I have a commercial studio set up just for boudoir. It's got furniture, backdrops, studio lights, fuzzy rugs, pillows, all the things that we need to make you look fabulous. And during the photo shoot, I'm going to lead you from start to finish through all the poses, and I'm going to light you with the studio lights. You don't have to know how to do this. You don't have to practice in front of a mirror. I'm going to be with you every step of the way. A lot of women say to me, well, I wouldn't know how to pose. I wouldn't know how to look sexy. That's not your job. That's my job to help you through that. And then when we're done taking the pictures, like I said, my favorite part, we do that reveal. I'm going to show you that picture, the pictures right then and there while you're at the studio. It's instant gratification, and also that moment where you get to see yourself looking fabulous. You get to decide then how you want to enjoy your pictures. It might be an album or a digital download or wall art, and I will create those products and send them to you within 4 weeks. And then you'll get to enjoy those heirloom products for years to come. So you have that magical day at the studio where you get to feel great and we take care of you. But then you always have those photos later on to look back on. Women tell me all the time when they open up their album or when they look at their pictures on their computer, it reminds them of the feelings that they had in the studio when they felt confident and gives them a boost whenever they need it.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I could see that because they leave with a spring in their step and feeling like a queen. I mean, who wouldn't want
Yeah.
that? It'd be, it'd be like, well, now I'm ready to conquer the world, so I should go do that interview that I was waiting for. I should launch my business because yeah, it's a great way to get your mojo back in sync with who you really are. Absolutely. So I'm curious because you said that when you bring individuals into the studio, you have all kinds of props depending on what they feel like they want to express, et cetera, et cetera. Do you give them a questionnaire prior to them getting there? Like, what if they just sort of like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm not sure what I want to do. I was just curious.
Of course. So every photo shoot starts with a phone call. You never show up at the
Mm.
studio if we haven't had a chat. So during that phone call, I'm going to find out who you are and what it is that you want to celebrate in your photo shoot. Of course, if you have a unique item that you want to bring, please bring it. I have had women bring all kinds of things. Recently, I had a woman come in with a lightsaber because she's a big Star Wars fan. I've had a woman bring a rolling pin or their boxing gloves, or I've had a cello, I've had a harp, anything that you want to incorporate into your photo shoot, you're welcome to bring. Obviously, I don't have cellos sitting around in the studio, so you got to bring your own cello if you want to photograph yourself with a cello. But I do have, some of the more standard items that people might like. So yeah, it starts with that phone call where we're going to really delve into what it is that you want to achieve. And we're going to talk about your creative vision and make sure that I'm the right photographer for you. And then from that phone call, we're also going to have that time in the studio with the hair and makeup, the wardrobe consult to really craft what it is that you want to show. Always be aware that how much skin you show is up to you. So of course I do full nude photos, but if you don't want to show that much skin, you don't have to. It's always about what's right for you.
Thank you for that insight. That's really wonderful. It's an experience. It's not just showing up to a photography studio and getting pictures taken. This is a full-blown experience. So that sounds incredible. And I know we just touched on this a little bit, but your work in the boudoir photography has evolved into a broader mission to empower women in all areas of their lives. Is there some particular areas that you would like to touch on so that people get an idea of not what happens, but how it empowers them in different ways?
Absolutely. So boudoir is my business, right? Like I'm in the business of bringing people to my studio for this experience and they can buy an album. But I do have this broader mission where I want women to rise up and feel empowered in all areas of their lives, make choices in line with their values rather than following someone else's script. So there's a couple of ways that I try to help women do this. First off, I've started a Facebook group where I have 10,000 local women in a group, and I ask an inspiring question every morning to get people thinking about their choices and what they're doing. And this Facebook group has become really active and a fun place that I love to hang out. And I hope that the conversations I start there are sparking self-reflection in women to think about the choices they're making in careers, relationships, and in their lives, how they're talking about their body. How do they talk about their bodies in front of their children, their daughters? How are they showing up? What choices are they making? Why are they in this job or this relationship? And do they want to make a change? How can they be more effective? So that is something that I love, is that group. And I also have started a podcast called Live with Liz, where I interview local women who are making a difference. And I hope that through those interviews, other women can feel inspired in their own empowerment journey.
That's wonderful. It's so interesting how the universe has brought this to you, but it's broadened out to other missions that you're now exploring and you're delving into, because you're becoming the voice of women looking for not necessarily answers, but just giving them the courage and the empowerment to step into their authentic self, which is a big thing these days because everyone is looking for authenticity. And let's face it, with the internet, there's a lot of phoniness going on. But this is really, and I love the sound of that Facebook group. Wow, we'll have that for our audience to check it out for sure. Well, thank you for that insight, Liz. Well, what were the biggest challenges then that you faced when you started your photography business, and how did you overcome them?
Starting your own thing is never easy, right? Like starting a business, no matter what field you're in, it's not easy. I had previously been a teacher and a stay-at-home mom, and I didn't have any experience running a business. When I opened up my business, it was like it was on a hope and a prayer in a way. I really wanted to offer this experience to women. I knew it was valuable, but to be honest, I didn't really have the business skills at first to back it up. So I had the term imposter syndrome. I had a lot of that. Like, I want to do this thing, but like, who am I to just open up a business and take credit cards? Like, what does that mean? I'm just little old me. So it took a lot of learning and a lot of trial and error and a lot of mistakes at the beginning before I sort of found my footing. I made all kinds of mistakes with my pricing, with my marketing. I bought a whole line of albums that didn't end up working out, and I had to recycle those and start with a whole different sample line of albums. I took pictures that I didn't like. I grew artistically. Running a business has been the biggest source of personal development, really, that I've had. The two hardest things I've ever done in my life: open a business and have a baby, right? If you want to learn and grow, like, those are some of the best ways to do it, in my opinion, because running a business really pushes you. You are, for better or worse, the buck stops here, right? You're in charge. You don't have a boss telling you what to do. Instead, your clients are your boss and you're trying to serve them. So I have learned a lot by joining masterminds, other groups of photographers who help me learn and grow. I've spent a lot of time Googling things and trying to figure things out. What I've mostly learned from running a business is that any challenge that comes my way, it can be figured out. There are resources. There are people who want to help. And if you put your mind to it and you want to start a business, you can do it. It's like, I feel like running a business is one of the most, like, people have been running businesses since ancient times, right? It's a fundamental part of our society that people from their own resources start things. They sell things, right? And it can be done. And I wish I'd had sort of a role model to tell me that when I was first starting. I think it's hard to be what you can't see. And I didn't have someone really to follow at first. So I'm hoping that I can be that for some other women, maybe on the internet.
That's wonderful. I believe that you are becoming that individual, because we all need mentors. And it's so powerful to have someone, like you said, nowadays with the internet, the advantage is that you can Google something and find out for yourself. But when there are others that have walked the path, it's so helpful for them to take you and say, look, this is the way I did it. And this is what I did that didn't work. And this is what I did that does work, and save them all that time and money. And I know women are particularly good at collaborating, and sharing that information. So kudos to you for doing that. I love that you stepped into it no matter what. And the imposter syndrome, it's interesting because even people with very successful careers have imposter syndrome. And I just say it's really because you're aligning with your higher self. You just haven't gotten there yet. You're if you're playing too small, that's the imposter syndrome. Is not that you're not worthy of it or that you can't do it. It's that you're moving to align with it, but you're not letting yourself. So that's, I see that in a different perspective. So absolutely, I could see that happening. Well, how has being then a business owner and a boudoir photographer transformed your own sense of self-worth and confidence? I mean, I can feel your confidence and your self-worth, but give us an idea of how you, just that arc that you came from, being a mom and not having a full-time business and then actually getting into boudoir when you said that you first started photographing families. That must have been quite the leap.
It was. I loved photographing families, and I did that for a while. But when I found boudoir, I sort of found what I mean, not to be dramatic, but it felt like a calling. Like it was something that I really
Yeah.
wanted to do. It something deeper. There was something deeper beyond. So taking family photos was nice. I enjoyed it, but it didn't feel like it was what I was called to do. And I don't mean that in like a religious like calling or anything, but there was something deeper in me that really felt drawn to boudoir because of this broader mission to help women. And I am so inspired by the women that I meet every day in the studio. I meet women from all walks of life, from all professions. I've had teachers and a circus performer and attorneys and doctors and stay-at-home moms and all kinds of people that I would never interact with in my regular circle. And hearing their stories and getting to spend time with them has been transformational for me. I have learned about how resilient women are. Some people go through so much, they have loss, they have pain, and yet they come through it. And it has inspired me and also given me so much compassion for just even the random people I see at the store or on the street, and knowing that they have a story too. I just haven't heard it yet.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. We all have a story, but that's wonderful that this has brought that awareness to you, because we all often walk around unconscious. We will see somebody and they need help, and you just see people walking past them, and I just, I'll go up and try and help them or whatever, because it just breaks my heart. It's like, how can all these people just be walking by someone, who just ignoring them, that they're also a human that needs help? If it was a dog, they'd probably have lots of people giving it a hand. But it's just very interesting. But that's really insightful, that it's really made you aware of the humanity that is around there, because like you said, everybody carries a story, or many of them, and how resilient they are, and particularly women as well. Well, what advice would you give, Liz, to a woman then who is dreaming of starting their own creative business but feels afraid or unsure?
The advice I would give is to always remember that you're going to have to start before you feel ready. Okay. The
Mm,
I feel ready feeling comes after you've done some stuff. So when
right.
you want to get started, you're rarely, I think, going to have the feeling I'm ready, I'm good, I'm all set. You're going to have that feeling after you've taken action. So if you're going to want to start something new, if you're going to want to start your own business, if you're going to want to show up online authentically, you might not feel ready. And that's okay. That just means that you haven't gotten to that part yet. So start before you're ready, take a step, put one foot in front of the other, and then the I feel good about this feeling will come after you've taken the action.
Mm,
I know that there were so many times when I didn't feel ready to do things in my business, but taking action is the solution to that. Sitting back and waiting is never the solution. So I like to say that, the inspiration comes in the doing, right?
mm,
Take steps,
yes.
take action, and then it will come. You're just sitting around and waiting to feel ready or waiting for lightning to strike. It rarely does.
Yeah, it almost never does. You're right, because you're ready is subjective. Like, what is ready? You could say, well, I felt ready yesterday, but I don't feel ready today. Well, what changed? Well, I just was in a good mood yesterday. It's like ready is subjective. It's like you said, start before you feel ready, and then you start to find out what it is that ready is, and are we all ever ready? I mean, we can be practiced, we can be, I always say life is a practice. Our entire lives are, we're always practicing. It's always a practice. So yeah, that's what I say. It's like perfect according to whom? Ready according to whom, right? So yes, that's great advice. I love that. Just take, I know there's lots of things that say just take the leap, but I mean it actually has to align, with what you feel. And if you're feeling it, just don't wait for that feeling to get greater and greater. Just make the first step, and see
Yeah,
what
and listen,
happens.
you don't actually have to take a leap. I would say a
No.
leap is really scary. You just take a small step, but don't just stand, right? So if you're trying something out, actually take a step and try it out. If you actually want to do something, you have to take those first steps. A leap may actually be too much, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I get that.
Yeah.
But if you never take a step, you'll never know where it could take you.
Exactly. Yes, you're right. A leap could be too much. In fact, that then they just fall off the cliff and never try it again. So that's funny. Yeah, because there's all these quotes and sayings in books about take the leap. But that's really interesting. I like that. That's awareness. Well, thank you for that advice, and I hope everyone here heeds that advice, because it's all about just getting started. Putting that one foot in front of another. So, what is your epic vision, Liz, for the future, both for your business and the women that you aim to inspire?
Well, I think empowered women are going to rise up and change the world. So we need as many empowered women as we can get. And I hope that women will understand, first off, their intrinsic value. You are valuable and worthy no matter what you have done or haven't done in life. I always like to remind people, when we hold a newborn baby in our arms, like a sweet newborn baby, we value that baby. We love that baby. And guess what? That baby has done nothing. That baby has not gotten a job. That baby has not gotten a degree. That baby has not lost any weight. That baby is not in a relationship, right? But we love that baby, right? We know how valuable that child is. And you have not lost any value since you were a baby. You are still just as valuable, no matter what you have done or haven't done. So tap into that knowledge of your intrinsic worth and value, and rise up and do what it is that you are meant to do in this short time on earth. As far as for me and my business, I hope to continue to empower women through boudoir photography. I would like someday to do some travel photography, maybe take some pictures of women at a waterfall in South America or on a tower in Greece or something. I would love to expand and do some international work like that, and maybe write a book someday about my experiences as a boudoir photographer.
Mm. Yes, that would be really eye-opening and really impactful. I could see that, because there's so many lessons that come from it, and it's not just like you said. It's not about the photograph. It's about the transformation and what that means to each individual. And it doesn't just touch the person getting the photographs. It touches you. It touches your staff. It touches anybody and everybody who hears those stories. So sharing the story is the most powerful way to send a message and make an impact. And you are living it every day, every time you have a client come in there, like that story you told me about the woman who had the heart attack. I mean, that is just puts life in perspective for us. We go about our days with the mundane issues that we, get upset about. And yes, of course, we're all human. But often, like you said, and in your business, you experience coming back down to earth and saying, this is what matters. Not that I spilt the milk, or I forgot to pick up the this, or when I was late for that. No, this is what matters. And you're making a difference as well by allowing women to do this. So I'm blessed that we found each other and I'm able to share your message. And speaking of that, if there was one message, Liz, that you would like to share with the world, what would it be?
Well, it's the message that I try to imbue to everyone that comes into my studio, which is, you are important. You are worthy.
Mm.
You are valuable. I think a lot of our problems in this world come from people not recognizing their own worth and value, and recognizing the worth and value of those around us. If we could recognize our own worth and the worth of our neighbors, both close to us and those across the globe, I think a lot of our problems would just naturally fall away. That, I think, is the core of being human, is if we can get to that and realize what that means. It truly means that we would care for each other, we wouldn't harm each other, we would share resources, we wouldn't put other people down, we wouldn't judge people based on superficial things like how they look. And I mean, I know this is sounding like very kumbaya here, but like that's what I like want for our world, you know, people who recognize their own humanity in their own selves and in each other.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful. And it's not kumbaya. It's what the world needs. I mean, yes, we're really all one. I read an interesting scientific fact. I'll just share it with you briefly, because talking about being all one, I love the science behind a lot of this stuff. It was saying that if you were to take away all of the space in a cell, like there's our cells are, what we're made up of, but most of it is just, it's air, so for lack of a better word. They didn't say air, but it's just space. So if you were to take all of that and put it into an apple, take away all the space, and there's just one little speck left that is the cell of who you are. They said that the population of the world would fit in an apple. I was just like, whoa. So I mean, some of the science that is coming forward now with a lot of what the ancients believed, and then what you said, woo woo, is not so woo woo. We just are now believing in it because of the science that is backing it. All of the, the energy, that we're all an energy form, and all how, like, your energy is very positive. It's very upbeat. I watched your TED talk and I could feel you influencing the room because you became a magnet. That's what we are. And when we emit that we are passionate about, we become a magnet for those who are looking for us. What Rumi always says is, who you seek is seeking you. And that's the power that we all have. And that's the power that you are initiating with what you're doing and what all of us are doing. So yes, it's very, very impactful and very meaningful. Thank you for sharing that. So how do people discover more about your services, Liz, and your resources?
So the best place is to head to my website, which is chicagoboudoir.com. Now, boudoir or boudoir, you can say the R or not. It's a tricky word to spell. So it's BOUDOIR.com, chicagoboudoir.com. If you go there, I've got a free ebook and you can get in touch. I'd love to chat, so just drop a line.
Wonderful. Well, I will have those all on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages, by the way. And because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, Liz, I have one last question for you. If your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Let's see. If my life were an epic story, the title might be She Dreamed It and Decided to Do It.
Oh, I love that.
I've had a lot of things that I have dreamed about and then decided to do. So I didn't really know how to start a boudoir business, but it was a dream I had and I just decided to do it. And here we are. And I know I've got some more dreams coming forward and I hope I can accomplish those too.
You will, but thank you for that. Absolutely perfect for what you're doing and the message that you are putting forth to the world. Well, thank you again, Liz, for joining us here today. And once again, for information and to connect with Liz, go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages, where you will find all of her social media and direct contact information. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. Look me up at janeapplegath.com. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Epic Vision Zone, also on Spotify, iTunes, and all streaming services. Sending you much love and gratitude. This is the Epic Vision Zone, the ultimate source for extraordinary transformation.